Hi, come to sit. Okay, everything's going to be down on the mat today. It's going to be mm, hopefully not too long a practice. It's going to be in a style very similar to yin. It's helped be referred to a lot. If you were to book a class, you'll understand that. And it said it was yin. It's going to be a bit like this. I'm going to use a couple of things to help the poses. A couple of props. Those are going to be a couple of fluffy cushions, and maybe a block. So I'm aware you probably don't have yoga props at home. So yeah, you could do this with lots of blocks and bolsters and things. But yeah, we don't all have those things. I do. Anyway, it's all going to be down on the mat. We're not going to move particularly fast, so make sure that you're in a warm place because these are quite long-held poses, and we deeply move into the muscles. So be aware that you don't put yourself in a position that's too advanced for your body or too deep for your body. Yeah, you want to be safe. Because what happens is when we sit into the poses, when we get into our position, and then we start to let go and we start to relax within that, and we mindfully move deeper and deeper into whichever position we're in, the muscles are slowly releasing a little bit more. However, we can go a little bit too far if we're not aware. And then the next day, yeah, you're a bit sore and stiff. And what we're trying to do is, yeah, combat that. So this would be a nice practice in the evening or night time. So enough chat. Let's get started. Sitting, however's comfortable for you, legs could be forward. You just want to be nice and upright. On a cushion is always good. And drawing the lower tummy in, relaxing the shoulders down, and maybe close your eyes. And become aware of yourself in the space, in the room, on your mat. And start to follow the sensation of your own breath. Notice the sound. Notice the tiny movements within the body. And notice the feeling as the body rises with the breath and relaxes as you exhale. Inhaling through the nose, creating length in the body. Exhaling through the nose, allowing your body to soften, your face to soften, your shoulders to relax a little bit more. Inhale and exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. So we'll just start with a little bit of movement while we're sitting. Bring the fingertips to touch the shoulders, and we're just going to make circles with the elbows. A big reaching round with the elbows. So this will be different for everyone. Maybe the elbows come to touch. Yeah, maybe they don't. Really reach back as you come back with the elbows, so you're stretching across the chest as well, and then coming forward. And again, when you reach forward, try and squeeze the elbows together so you get a bit of movement between the shoulder blades. And release. And we're going to just take a sideways stretch, so reaching over, fingertips to one side, reaching up with the opposite arm, big reach through the side of that body, maybe stay in here, or maybe you can sink over a little bit to the side. And coming the other way. I always wiggle my fingers, don't know why. They'll reach. Quite like the feeling of these stretches as we start. Really nice in the morning, yeah, but it's really nice to do these kind of stretches before you relax and lie down to sleep. It does help the body start to calm down. Okay, I'm going to bring the head to drop towards one shoulder, so ear towards shoulder. Maybe you want to wrap the hand round and rest it on the side of the head, or all the way around to the ear. Now, you're not going to pull. You're looking for length in this neck. Tuck the chin in and maybe reaching away with the opposite hand. And there'll be a point of stretch for you. So flex the hand, point the hand, and maybe wiggle or rotate through that arm. And release. Tuck the chin towards the chest. And either stay in here, so stay tall so you're not rolling down. It's just the chin's coming back and then tucking in. Maybe you want to add a little bit of weight of the hands on the back of the head. Again, you don't want to pull. And connect with your breath there. And gently release. So dropping the ear towards the other shoulder. Shoulders stay down until you move, obviously. And then reaching this top arm over, maybe holding on to the side of the head. Adding a little bit of tension there. Make sure the chin's not jutting out. You want the chin to come back and tuck in slightly. And then again, maybe you wish to reach away with this hand. There'll be a point that you feel different stretches in the shoulder. And again, just make sure you're not overdoing that stretch. And then release. And pull the shoulders up to the ears and drop them down quick. Inhale. Just get a little bit of breath into the body with this. Again. Okay. We're going to come to lie down and start a little bit of practice on our backs. So bringing yourself carefully down to the mat and allowing your back to push into the floor, allowing your shoulders to relax down on the floor. See if maybe you can tuck the shoulders under a little bit more, and maybe encourage your shoulders down. Hands next to the body, and going to bring the feet wide and allow the knees to come together, and just take a rest there. Maybe rest one hand on the tummy, one hand on your heart, and take a deep inhale, being aware of the body moving, and exhaling everything out. Inhale. Lovely fresh energy and breath coming into the body, bringing vitality. Exhale everything out, exhaling. And release. Okay, bringing the feet closer together, so you want them hip width apart. We're just going to take a few rolls through our back bend. So lifting the hips up, pushing the shoulders down into the mat, and lift a little bit. We don't need to go far. Big lift and extend through the front of the body with the big breath, and release it down. Inhale and exhale. So making sure you're rolling through the pelvis, rolling through every bone in the spine as you come up and then back down. So as you're coming down, you want to come down one vertebrae at a time if you can. Good luck with that, it's pretty hard. But we're just rolling as much as we can, trying to get as much movement through the length of the body. And then maybe inhale, arms overhead, big reach, exhale, bringing it back down. Inhale, lift, pushing into the heels, exhale, release, and let it go. Okay, drop the legs to one side, just so you feel a little bit of a stretch here. We're still just warming the body up a little bit, and bring the legs over to the other side. So this, maybe you just come a little bit, it's quite tense. Just be aware of how that feels in the back. So you're keeping the tummy drawn in so that you're not pulling into the lower back too much. So it's just a little bit of a stretch through the lower back, tummy, and legs. Okay. So from here, squeeze both knees into the chest. Almost try and pick the bottom up, so you're getting quite a bit of a stretch across the back of the pelvis. Maybe give it a rock side to side. Maybe you're going to straighten the legs. Yeah, maybe it's just taking it too far for you just now. We are going to end with this, but against the wall. Okay, squeeze the knees in and come up to sit carefully. So come over onto your side if you need to. Okay. So again, you could be seated back on your cushion for this set of poses. We're going to do quite a few seated poses now for legs and the hips. So we're going to start with one leg out to the side, foot comes into the inside of the thigh, and this knee's closed. So I want you to think about is the knee joint gets closed first, and then you allow that leg to rotate from the hip. So you might be quite high up with this knee. You might not have an awful lot of movement in the hip joint for that external rotation. If you feel pain on the inside or outside of the knee, yeah, lift it up a little bit more. Make sure the shin and thigh are in line. So you could put a block underneath that knee as support or a cushion. And think about this leg, heel pushing into the floor, legs flat, fingertips to the floor here. If that's okay for you, again, bring it lower or bring it lower again. If you do get pain on the inside of the knee, think about this roll back from the top of the hip. This pain often comes when the joint gets closed with the two bones rolling this way. Want them to roll apart that way and down, drawing the tummy in. And maybe you can come a little forward. If coming forward doesn't feel good, keep upright. Take a deep inhale and exhale there. Although we're sinking into the pose and holding it for a moment, it's still quite active. So drawing the tummy in, creating length in the body, and maybe you can come forward a little bit further. If you do have a block or a big sofa cushion would be quite nice. You can bring the block in front, maybe rest the head onto it and come onto the elbows. Those of you with really quite advanced flexibility can maybe lie flat here. Not today for me. And then once in these positions, you're going to focus on the breath. Allow yourself to become heavy. Allow the release to start in the back. So even here, allow yourself to sink into the hips. Think about sitting firmly down. Okay, carefully walking yourself back up. And we're going to come into a bit of a side stretch. So turning to face the bent leg. Take your right hand to the inside of the right knee. So this might be plenty again. You could be on a block here. You could just be leaning onto it. Facing the bent knee, and we're going to reach up and come over slightly towards the long leg. If reaching up and over feels tense in your shoulder, keep that arm just sinking down round the lower back if you can. So again, those of you that can go quite deep, maybe want to take a hold of the foot, can take hold of the outside or take the inside and think about turning the chest more up, reaching over a little bit more. Or you can come to the elbow on the inside and allow yourself to hang. So the head gets really quite heavy. So if you can get into it, you can rest the head on a block, possibly. The other thing you can do, excuse me, is just create a bit of height here and lean into this side. So you're leaning away from the back of the hip of the bent leg. So when you're ready, come in carefully back up. Take it slow as we come in. Okay, so bringing the other foot in, taking both feet to touch, coming into our Baddha Konasana, sometimes called cobbler pose. So again, if you find that your knees are really quite elevated, we want to be really careful that you're not twisting that joint when they're elevated. So bringing them to rest on 2 blocks, 2 cushions is good. So fingertips behind. So this resting them, instead of just leaving them hanging there, allows you to push down slightly into the blocks, gives you a bit of purchase, and maybe you can pitch forward a little bit. So what I find is if the knees are quite high, maybe your forward fold action doesn't feel good either. So just take it to where feels right for you. So drawing the tummy in, chest lifting, so you're kind of pitching forward. Those of you can come a bit deeper, maybe you're taking the blocks down a level, maybe you're taking hold of the feet, maybe you're getting rid of the blocks altogether. So very fortunate, I don't have any issues in my knees. I do have tight hips. However, I find that if we come into these poses for a little while, we can get a little bit more movement. So coming forward from the pelvis, chest lifted still, and keep reaching forward. You're trying to encourage these thighs to roll back. So you might want to take both thumbs into the hip crease here and just give yourself a little massage and roll back. I would say don't push the knees, because again, that's going to affect the knee joint. Those of you can take this quite deeply, can roll the sides of the feet open, and then maybe come further down. And again, use the props. So part of the relaxation response in the body can be triggered by resting the forehead down. A little bit of pressure on the forehead can help you relax. So a weighted eye pillow is really nice for if you're lying down, to help that relaxation response. Okay, so moving all my things out of the way. And we're going to carefully move that left leg out. So it's been folded for quite some time, so you maybe need to give it a little bit of a self-massage, a little bit of a roll side to side, see how it feels for you. So again, something that's quite good for these kind of poses is actually have the hips a bit more elevated. So you could be on a block or a wedge, keeping you a little bit further up. So right knee, make sure the knee joint's closed. Maybe give yourself a little bit of a movement here. So you're looking for that rotation apart. Heel coming in towards the groin. And sit tall. So if this is too deep, you can have the leg further out. And again, supported. And think about drawing up, creating length in the body, sitting firmly down into the hips and rotating back and out with the thighs. For those of you that are quite comfortable to come a bit further, maybe wish to come forward and down onto the elbows, maybe coming all the way into a stretch. And go back to the sensations of your own breath. Long, steady inhale. And as you exhale, allowing your body to soften, trying to let go a little bit more. So we physically can't breathe air into muscles, but we can release muscles with the sensation of breathing into that area. So as you inhale, you focus on the area you're trying to release. And as you exhale, you actively soften that area that you're thinking of. So by putting your attention on that part, it can help relax. Okay, coming back up, facing the bent side, and we're going to take it into the side stretch for this side. So this might, just taking that little twist might feel enough. So just turning to face the bent knee, it starts to stretch into this side. So you may think about bringing the block round to lean on. Maybe you're reaching this top arm up and over. You can just hang. You've immediately started to create a lot more length in the side of the torso. Holding each of these poses for quite a bit longer than we would normally. You can stay here for 5 minutes in each position. That would make a very long, slow video. But yeah, if you're doing things like this before going to bed, stay there as long as you like. Listen to a podcast, listen to some music that you enjoy, or read a book. So from here, carefully coming back up. And so instead of the Baddha Konasana this time, we're going to take Konasana, which is the wide leg forward fold. So bringing both legs out. So this especially, you possibly find it feels better if you're on a cushion. And I want you to be very aware how the back of the legs feel as you come forward. Soften the knees if you need to. So think about softening the knees first, coming forward onto the sit bones so you feel the bones pushing down into the mat or your cushion, and think about tilting the pelvis forward. So you're thinking back of the pelvis lifting and the front of the pelvis tilting forward, and then taking the hands forward. If that's too much, fingertips behind, and think about lengthening up out of the pelvis. Those of you that can come forward and down, allowing the legs to straighten. You could put cushions underneath the knees, protect the knee joints again. Think about protecting the hamstrings, trying to let go there. You could just allow everything to relax out. So active, pushing the heels down, heels are flexed. Think about reaching the chest forward, or very passive and allowing everything to relax. Maybe you give it a shake. So again, if you need to, this can be 1 or 2 blocks stacked up. Bolster's quite nice to rest the head on, to have the bolster standing up. Or, yeah. So here again, you're thinking about rolling the thighs back and reaching out of the pelvis, reaching forward. And walking the hands in carefully and coming back up. Okay. So we're going to bend the knees, give them a little shake, and we're going to take them back the way. So maybe you need to work on one side and just work on this half hero pose. Think about the length here. Again, being very careful as to how that feels in the knee joint. If the knees are causing you pain, don't go there. Okay. But what I would like to take you into, so this is really quite a nice way to sit at any time. Again, to get this time we're working on the internal rotation. You can do one side, you can do both, allowing yourself to sink down. But what I want to do with you is, if you can come onto both knees, bring them wide, and the feet are as wide as the knees. So you're not bringing them together behind, they're coming out. And you're just going to come down onto the elbows and allow yourself to sink down. So you want the hips in line with the knees and allow your knees to come out. So you could only do this if you don't have any problems with your lower back and with your knees. However, those of you that want a bit of stretch to the inside of the thighs, this would be a good place for you to work. Drawing the tummy in so that you're not coming into a back bend. You want to tuck that pelvis under, and then maybe this is one that you can take a wiggle in as well. Okay, I'm not going to hold this one long. We're going to walk it back in, bringing the knees back under. I would say go careful with that one. It's not for everybody, but if yeah, if you are very tight on the inside of the legs, it is a nice way to work. Um, so I'm going to come into just a little stretch for the front of the thighs. So my knees are together. I'm sitting in a cushion between my heels and my bottom. So it would be better possibly with the block behind. You can push your hands into the block and think about drawing the chest up. Those you can come a little deeper, fingertips can come to the mat. And you're thinking about sending the knees down into the mat and stretching across the front of the thighs, stretching across the front of the hips. Again, squeezing the bottom. So the reason we're going to squeeze the bottom and push the hips forward kind of lengthens the lower back a little bit more. It allows you to keep a bit of space in the top of the pelvis as you stretch across the front of the quads. So depending on you, that might be enough. Or you can bring the feet wider. So this is kind of how, I sat a moment ago. Again, paying attention to how the knees feel. Squeeze the knees towards each other, but they're not touching. And think you may need to turn the calves out to allow you to sink down between the heels. Or we may be working on quite a high block here and sitting up. I've been doing this one for quite a while, so I can't get really low down. I know there are some of you doing this that are really flexible. Some of you, this is completely new. If this is new to you, you're staying here, staying nice and upright, thinking about the length across the front of the body, drawing the tummy in, chest lifted. Those of you that flexibility is your thing, you're going to come down onto the elbows. I'm not going to take it any further than this today. So we're going to push the knees towards the floor. Hips are coming forward and up. And again, that little squeeze with the bottom, pushing the hip bones. It's almost like you're trying to push the hips forward and then over, so as that you're keeping this length in the lower back. So the pelvis is tucking. So this is creating quite a big stretch into the quad area, hopefully. If you're feeling it anywhere else, come out of it, because hopefully that's the only place you're feeling it. So I'm not going to come further. This one's really nice if you just lie all the way down. Those of you that have got that flexibility in the front of the body and the knees are okay. So you would just, from here, slide to lie down. But again, watch how that feels in your lower back, because the body really is quite lifted from there. Okay, carefully coming up. That one's a difficult one to get out of. Don't get stuck. Come in carefully onto the hand. And then for a moment, we're going to bring the knees underneath and give it a little wiggle. So I want you just to shift your hips side to side. So while here, I do one little other thing for the front of the body. You're going to come to lie flat. So if all those with the knees bent really don't work for you, this one's going to feel nice. Okay, so thinking about pushing the pubic bone down into the mat, lifting the kneecaps up, pushing the tops of the feet to the mat, and bringing the elbows forward of the shoulders. So if you find that this feels really quite tight in your lower back, bring the elbows further forward. Okay. Those of you that have got a deeper back bend, elbows can come under the shoulders. Think about chest coming forward, gaze is forward. Take a nice, long, steady inhale. Steady exhale. So this one, really nice with the bolster. Or, again, you could prop up with cushion and block and allow yourself just to hover or hug. So if you rest in your chest forward, being aware of where that feels okay for you. You can take it into the ribs. However, I think men may find this a bit more comfortable than women. So for us ladies, think below your chest. I think that lower rib area. However, that's quite a delicate area. Pushing, it's quite a hard block. I would suggest it's better on a bolster, but it gives you that supported little back bend. Maybe you can press the hands in and lift up a little bit more. Okay, release, block or cushion out if you've got one. You're going to turn the feet out, allow yourself to wiggle a little bit, bring the hands in front and rest your forehead onto your arms or the backs of your hands. Hands can be stacked. And really go back to the breath here, back to long steady inhale and steady exhale. So we take Shavasana on our back usually at the end of class. However, lying on your front, as long as it feels okay on your lower back, is a really relaxing way to be. It feels safe. It's the way that when you do classes with teenagers or people with trauma, yeah, they like to be this direction down. It feels, it's got a different feel to it from when we're lying on our backs. So if you are comfortable here, it's a very nice way to take 5-10 breaths. Forehead resting on the hands gives that response I was speaking about. Make each exhale longer than the inhale. And from here, I'm going to change position now, so you can stay there if you wish, if you want to relax. Or you're going to reach back, draw the tummy in, and come into a child's pose. So make it very round and dropping the head in. I've got the knees wide, toes together, and I'm going to roll side to side a little bit so that the hips are releasing. And coming up. And we're just going to end the class, end this little session with legs up the wall. So I'm going to show you how to get into it and how to support yourself. But this, again, is a great alternative for our lying down Shavasana. It involves getting all the benefits of an inversion, but without any of the, strength and energy that's needed for the inversions. Okay, use a cushion to put your bottom onto. Just elevates the hips a little bit more. And you're going to sit on the cushion with your side against the wall, and you're just going to spin until you get into the position you need to be. So you want your hips as close to the wall as you can get them. You want your bottom touching if you can. So once you get down onto the elbows, you'll find that you are further away from the wall than you maybe want to be. Knees can be bent. And just push into the elbows and give it a little wiggle. Okay, so this is very comfortable if you're on a cushion. Cushion is still into the lower back as well. And the feet can be resting against the wall with the knees really quite bent, or allow both legs to straighten and reach up. And again, maybe giving yourself a little bit of a release into the hips, into the thighs. And bring your arms out to the side, palms facing up. Take a deep inhale. And exhale, allow everything to let go. Maybe hand to the tummy, hand to the chest. And notice your breath slow with each breath. Taking a slower, longer inhale. And a longer, steadier exhale. If you prefer, you can take a deep inhale and sigh. It's your practice.